Welcome back to Grumpy Vet Garage. I'm the Grumpy Vet Dino, and today we're doing some further power modifications to the 2021 A90 Supra. In a previous video, I talked about that we were going to install a catted downpipe for this street build in our pursuit of a 600 horsepower street car, and I went ahead and got a catted downpipe. I have an active Autowerke downpipe, so let me show you that now. So here we have the active Autowerke catted downpipe. So it has a cast section in front to kind of help prevent any kind of cracking issues that may occur. You can see the catalytic converter material right there. Nicely laser etched. Hanger looks really good. The two O2 sensor bungs look nice. The flex section is just not just a bellow, but it's actually a bellow and then like a cage around it too. Nicely welded, all stainless. And for those interested, let me see if I can get in there. It does have with a GSEI, I believe is what it is, certification by the EPA. So this is a compliant downpipe. Also, something very nice from Active Autowerke is they're including, I saw it on their website and I was hoping it was true, but yeah, they are including a replacement gasket for your downpipe. I know many other manufacturers do not include something like this, but Active Autowerke includes it with their downpipes to aid in your install. To accomplish this install, you're going to have to lift up your Supra. I'm going to show you what I'm using. You don't have to do it exactly how I'm doing it, but there's certain safety for the car and definitely for yourself that you have to abide by so that you can do this safely. So I made myself a set of ramps. These are just, they were 2x12s that I cut down to make a ramp section. Just enough to lift it just a little bit so that I could get my low profile long reach jack to get all the way underneath the vehicle to get to the jack points. I'm going to put on the screen from the maintenance manual where the jack points are on the Supra and where the lift points are. I believe that's how they word it. 4 points on the car are where you would lift with a 2-post lift. But for us, we're going to use it for jack stands with these pads to go into that area. And then there's 2 spots on the Supra where you can actually lift from with a jack. Probably getting the words wrong, turned it into a word salad. But basically what I'm getting at, there's 4 spots for jack stands and there's 2 spots for you lifting with a jack. You don't want to lift with the jack where you're going to put your jack stand, because how are you going to put the jack stand in there if you're lifting from that point? So you need to lift the whole front of the vehicle, put in 2 jack stands, lift the rear of the vehicle, and put in 2 jack stands. If you're just working with any car, not just a Supra, but anything on just a hydraulic jack, you're kind of playing with fire. If that jack was to fail, there's nothing keeping that car off of you. And a Supra is a light car, relatively speaking, but 3,400 pounds is still going to kill you or hurt you seriously. So I don't want to be the safety monitor here, but lifting the car properly so you can get up underneath it and have an enjoyable install rather than taking a trip to the emergency room is very important. So use jack stands, use a jack. If you need to use a ramp, use a ramp. How you do that, I'm not going to tell you how, but just be safe lifting up this car. Okay, so now we're underneath my car. And you can see the black cover. That would be like your oil change cover. In front of that area, you'll see a circular area with a bolt. That is the jack point for the front. So you'd place a jack underneath that, lift it up, and then you can see my jack stands that I have installed. Take your time. There's no need to rush this. If you're in a rush, you probably should do it some other day. In the back, your jack point is the bottom of the differential. So not this finned section. in front of the fin section, there is a flat spot on the bottom of the differential. You want to center and place your jack pad on your floor jack or whatever jack you're using on that. Do not put it here. You will break that off, potentially causing a leak, or if nothing else, just harming the cooling of your differential. But yeah, I can see a sensor here. Don't touch that. So now with the engine cover removed and the catch can removed just for ease of maintenance, we need to disconnect these two harnesses. So we have to disconnect the wiring on this side, but we also need to disconnect these plugs from their mount. So how you do that is you get a pick tool, or a flat blade screwdriver will work, and you turn around and you pull back on these until they click, and now it turns into something you can depress, and there it comes slowly, and there it is disconnected. So there's that one, and you don't have to worry about getting these mixed up because they won't go on the other plug. So, and then disconnected. And then to get it to come off down here, you have to release the tab on the bottom and it should slip off. Okay, so I got the first one off. I want to show you the second one. So I was pressing the wrong direction. So it's going to be a lift up and then you're going to go towards the driver's side. So let's see how long it takes me to get this one. And there you go. It's this piece right here. You're just pushing it away. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a little tab. You're pressing it away and it'll slide towards the driver's side. So now the wiring has two clips, one here and here. You can either pull it out of that clip or pull the clip with the harness, as you can see right there. But now we need to work on the V-band right there. We need to disconnect that. So wasn't able to get a good view of the bolt that's holding on the V-band, but it's a 13 millimeter and the bolt's pretty long. So as you go to disconnect it or loosen it up, it's not going to fall out. So there's a good amount of threads for you to play with there. But now, so I hope you can see what I'm showing you here. But the band clamp that connects the downpipe to the main exhaust is also a 13 millimeter. And then right up there, there's two nuts. Those are also 13 millimeter that mount the downpipe to a bracket. So those have to be removed, or just, loosen this one and then remove those two nuts, and then we can try to wiggle out the downpipe. So the OEM downpipe is removed. The hardest part really, to me, is just getting the band clamp loose. You need to kind of walk it around. You have to kind of walk around the flange to pull it off. Don't use anything, don't be too aggressive, and don't use anything that's going to mar up the turbo housing. But you do need to pop it off, and once that happens, it'll come free. So 13 millimeter band clamp, 13 millimeter nuts here, and then the band clamp on the bottom is also a 13 millimeter. But here is the comparison side by side. You can kind of see the smooth transition here. Not so good there. Gets pretty small right there. Does a better job of flowing through here. And then the core size, smaller here, but just a massive core there. And you can see on the inside just how much a smoother flow the Active Autowerks is than the OEM. So next thing you need to do is move over the O2 sensors. You can't interchange them, so make sure that the front O2 sensor goes in the front bung, the rear O2 sensor goes into the rear bung, and so I moved over both O2 sensors. Make sure that you put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads of those O2 sensors going back over. Keep it off of the actual sensor body and make sure it stays just on the threads, but you just don't want these to weld themselves into the pipe. But I don't think I mentioned it when I removed the other one, that it comes out the bottom. So coming from the bottom, you're going to come back up through, and then just take your time and get everything kind of started. And then be careful about the gasket. So the gasket itself is loose, so be mindful of that when you're going to put it back up in there. Just take your time. That's the most important thing. Take your time. So the downpipe is installed. I reconnected those connectors. Make sure your routing is keeping these wires away from heat sources. So they got to run down and around, but just make sure they're not laying on anything that's going to melt them. They do have a covering on them, but you just got to be careful about that. So we're down on the bottom. I had to loosen this up to give some room for the exhaust pipe going back. I'm trying to give you the best view I can to give it the ability to kind of move back. Take your time with this slip fit. It's a bit of a pain, but you can do it. Just loosen it up and take your time. And then, I don't know if you can see it up in there. It's hard to see the bracket. But you want to start the bracket up here. Up there, I'm sorry. Right over, you can't really see it. You want to start those bolts, get them loose, and then start working this band on, and start working the band clamp up front. So make sure it's all lined up and slowly start tightening things down. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It took some time to get it on there, but you know, anything that takes some time sometimes is worth all the effort. So just take your time and get it together. So before calling the job complete, just make sure to check over all your connections and make sure everything is put back together the way it's supposed to be. If you remove something, like I removed the catch can, put that catch can back and button it up, and then you'll be able to put it back on the ground. So the car is back on the ground and everything's put back together. I would say the install of the Active Autowerke catted downpipe is not that difficult. Again, you're going to need to lift the vehicle. You're going to need some general hand tools, 13 millimeter specifically, and also pick tools to kind of help with disconnection of electrical connectors. But I think it's going to be worth it in the long run. Active Autowerke claims an 18 horsepower increase by simply bolting on this catted downpipe. Also, they claim a quicker spool time for the turbo. And I tend to believe we're going to see some of that. I know when we did the air filter, I didn't expect that we were really going to pick up any power. But with the catted downpipe, I expect that we're going to pick up power. I think the spool time is going to increase. And I think we're also going to hear the car more. It's going to open up that exhaust and make it a little meaner sounding than it previously did. I think it'll be worth it in the long run. But again, I'm going to drive it around for a few days, see how I like it, kind of see how it drives, and then we're also going to do a draggy run to see if we can pick up any performance with the performance meter. But I'm expecting that I'm going to feel something in the butt dyno with the install, and it should be good. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you have any comments about this install or really anything with the Supra or my channel in general, please leave it in the comments. We've also opened up a Grumpy Vet Garage store. This is actually a shirt from that store. Multiple designs. Please go there and check it out. The description or the link to it is in the description below. But thank you for coming and seeing me in my garage. And until next time, have a good one.